There are a ton of note-taking applications out there these days. We have the ancient giants like Evernote that are still around. You have the new SaaS players like Notion and Roam Research. You have cross-platform local takes like Obsidian. But sometimes you just want a native application, one that's written right for the operating system that you're used to using, that functions super well and is beautiful to look at. Hey folks, my name is Justin with Effective Remote Work, and today we're going to take a first look at Craft, the note-taking application built specifically for Mac and iOS. If you're not familiar with Craft, you can take a look at their website at craft.do or craft.do. They say it is a fresh take on documents. My impression of this software is that it's largely a competitor, not necessarily with like the likes of Roam Research or Obsidian, though you can use the software in some similar fashions to those tools, but this is a competitor to Notion. If you are on macOS, iOS, iPadOS, and you want native applications that natively look and feel like they belong on those platforms, Craft very well might be an application for you. We'll browse through the website here for just a minute, and then we'll take a look at the software itself. Now, Craft, as you can see here, has a very fancy, nicely designed user interface. It's animated. You can do tons of touch gestures, and like as you can see in the animation here, it's fast. You've got a lot of different things you can do with it. You can take notes, you can organize them in folders, you can embed pages within each other. It really does a great job of structuring content, especially if that's the way that you think about taking notes. Just a brief note on pricing before we dive into much deeper. They do have a free tier similar to Notion's previous free tier. You're limited to 1,000 blocks. A block is basically a section or a line of text. It can be a paragraph, it can be a picture, it can be a card or another page. You're limited to 1,000 of those on the free tier. You can get a simple PDF export. You do get sync included across all devices for free, which is different than something like Bear, which you have to pay for cross-device sync. And you get inline markdown. Now, the next tier up is professional. This is the only tier they have at this moment in time. You get all of the features, everything in personal, but you get unlimited usage, in-document search, which is very nice if you have large, long documents. You get advanced export features. So if you're looking to export your notes to Markdown or a different format, you can do that. You get high quality media uploads and then additional card effects. We'll take a look at what cards look like in just a moment. But as you can see here, they're looking at having a team plan. They have a web editor in beta so that you can use a web page to access your Craft. I'm not exactly sure what they call it, but your Craft documents. In Obsidian, it would be like your Obsidian Vault. It's largely just your Craft instance is what we're trying to get at here, but they're also developing a team solution. So if you're looking at having a team, or if you have a team that's primarily or only on Mac and iOS, and you want to share a bunch of documents, say you want to use more of a not so publicly hosted, I guess, Notion style document, and you want to keep it all like within iCloud and the like, you can do that with Craft. So let's jump over to the application and we can take a look at what Craft actually looks like and some of the things that you can do with it. Okay, this is what you're first going to see when you sign into Craft. You're going to have to sign up with your email address and create an account. That's all right. You'll have to do that first before you jump in and see this screen. But when you first sign in, you'll get something like this. This document won't be here, but you'll have this welcome to Craft document. You'll see getting started. It's a nice way to jump into getting familiar with the software. Now, one modality to be aware of inside of Craft is that as opposed to something like Obsidian or Roam, Obsidian tends to think of notes in terms of text files. You can link those text files. They can be as big or as small as you want them. And in Roam, they think in terms of bullets because it's an outliner. In Craft, we think in terms of documents. So this welcome to Craft is a document. It's a page. This getting started guide here is a document. It's a page. It's similar to how Notion thinks about information in its system. It thinks it in terms of documents and pages, and they can be nested in each other. However, one difference between Notion and Craft is that you can organize these documents into folders. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. First things first, though, I love when we do these first looks is I like to look in the settings to see what we can kind of tweak. Okay, you can see here that I have my account set up here, Justin DeRose, hello@effectiveremotework.com. I have the free account because I'm not interested in subscribing to Craft myself at this moment in time. But as we talked about previously, you can sign up for $44.95 a year, I believe it was. You get some different appearance settings here. You can have the appearance change with the system, light, dark. You can create different accent colors. You can reduce animations if you need that or like that. You can increase your text size. Language, you can have spell check. You can have your default language, something different. There's a bunch of different diagnostics that you can see here. You can see your sync status, which is helpful. And then about, you can see what version of Craft you're on, and so on and so forth. Now let's dive into what a document looks like. We'll go into this Welcome to Craft document. You can see there's a nice fancy animation that you get when you load it up. There are a lot of different formats here. If you think through general text formatting, you've got your callouts here, block quotes. You have your separators, you have paragraphs, bullets, you can add emojis and different headings in here. You have unordered lists, which are just the straight bullets. You have the ordered lists, which are the numbered lists. You can add links. You can have test subpages that show up there as well. Up here in the corner, you can create a new document, or a new tab rather, then open up a new document. You can search across your documents using Quick Open, and then there's a sidebar where you get lots of formatting stuff here as well. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. So if I wanted to open up a new tab, then I can open up another document over here, and we can say getting started. Now you can see in this view that we have some bold text, we have links, we have a horizontal rule. Then we also have cards. Cards are a fun, kind of unique way to visually organize your content inside of Craft. So you can see in this guide here that we have this section called adding content, and there are 3 different ways you can add content here that it shows. So let's just double click into this adding text one here, and you can see that this is simply a page, but there is a breadcrumb at the top here. This adding text page is nested under the getting started document, which is really helpful. You can think a bit about this almost like a hypertext website. You have a main page that you go to, you click into a link, and it kind of takes you into another section of the site. That's similar to how this works, but it's a little bit more hierarchical in nature. Now, if we can click and drag on these to move them around. You can click on the ellipses to get the card styles. You can change different styles here. You can have the font style to be modern, classy, fun, which is just, a sans serif font, a serifed font, and then kind of a rounded font. It's kind of reminiscent of Comic Sans, but not entirely. It looks a lot better in my opinion. You can change background colors to make it fun. You can change background images. If you want something to stand out a little bit more, you can add your own images here as well. I'm just going to reset this because we don't need to change that right now. But you can make these card styles look in fancy ways. So you can see in this document here in Craft, they have made the styles the same for each row. So you can see here, I actually move this around. You can see that it's kind of a gradient this way here. These all have the same color down here and the same here. So it's a nice way to give some visual context to organization as well as just having them there in a row together. You can bundle numbers of these together and have them under headings like this, and they'll just automatically break down to the next line. So I'm going to go back to all documents. I'm going to open up my Effective Remote Work document that I started. You can see that I have Welcome to Effective Remote Work, a podcast, a bunch of free guides, and a YouTube channel. Let's just explore a little bit of what this can do and what this can look like. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I just want to bold this. If I highlight this, I get a contextual menu here. I can actually highlight this. I can bold, italicize, strike through. I can create this to be a code block. I can create a link. I can block link to another document. We'll take a look at that in a minute. I can show my spelling settings, which I'm not going to worry about right now. I am going to hit bold just for fun there. You can hit Control B as well. I'll hit Control K for a link here, and then I'll just type in my link. And that's linked to an actual website. Now, I want to reorder these here. It's pretty easy. You can just grab these little dots to the side, similar to how Notion does it, and reorder those. I'll delete this block here. Now I'm going to select these blocks if I can, and I want to convert these to a, let's see, I can do a to-do list, bullet list, number list, toggle list. I'm going to do a bullet list. That's kind of fun. Now let's see, maybe I want to add a to-do list. How do I do that? Let's see. I can do checks here, so I'll add one here. Now I'm going to try markdown typing. Okay, so that works. You can just do standard markdown syntax and it automatically converts. So this to-do list, let's say I want to build out my podcast episode library. If I can type. Okay, so I can do that. That's pretty fun. But maybe I want to add something nested in here. Okay, I'm going to click on that arrow right next to it. We'll go back so you can see that. If I hover over this block, you can see there's a little tiny arrow over here where you can add content in that. It's almost like a sub page, but I can get into this and kind of flesh this out a little bit more if I want to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the @ symbol. And I'm going to go to process, let's see, I want podcast episodes. That's what I want. So this allows me to link directly to a page. If I click on that, it takes me into the sub block there. So that's a little confusing. All right, but if I click on this, then it actually takes me to the page. Now, this is kind of fancy because you do get backlinks as well, which is really handy. So if I show this, you can see that I have under effective remote work, build out my podcast episode library. You can see podcast episodes is linked in that note. This is kind of handy, but again, this is a really rudimentary backlinks setup. You don't have filtering or anything like you would get in Roam Research, but you do have it at least able to kind of collapse the backlinks and hide them, which is very, very handy. So you can see I've created these cards for a couple of different podcast episodes. Let's create another card now. So I can go over here into this formatting or style menu. I'm just going to hit card, but you can see that I have the keyboard shortcut, which is Command-Shift-L. I'm going to do that first, but first I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say 003, and then I don't even remember what episode that was, so I'm going to make one up off the top of my head. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Command-Shift-L. Then you can see it brings up the card styles. And then I'm just going to keep the default here, hit Apply Style, and you can see that it adds it here. So if I wanted to, I could create one for each one of these. I can also add in a page if I want to. And I'm not entirely sure what that does, actually. I haven't dug too deep into this functionality, but it looks like maybe, can I drag those in? No, I can't do that. We're just kind of exploring here live, something that I like to do and I think is valuable to do as well. I can go in here. Okay, I'm just going to go back and see what the heck that did. Okay, so I see what it did here. This is kind of more of a page call out. Instead of just creating a sub page under here, going into this, on a just simple block of text, you can actually create a page here where you can title it, and then you get kind of a preview of the text that's there as well. That's kind of nice. So there's a number of different ways you can make this look nice. You can decorate your text if I want to focus on something, or if I want to block something, I can add different colors, different font styles, which is really quite nice. You can get into the page style, or you can change the page style itself. You can have a cover image. Again, this is very similar to Notion if you're familiar with that, but you can add titles and authors. You can have classic block spacing. You can have dynamic, which shifts it based upon the kind of block that it is. You can have a wide page, a regular page. You can get information here about this. You can delete them. You can view backups. Then there's a quick keyboard shortcut guide here, which is very nice to have. You can share or publish. You can share a secret link if you enable that so other people can view that page. You can export to these different options: PDF, image, markdown, text bundle. If you're not familiar with what text bundle is, that is a package of images and text files that can be read by other applications. I know Ulysses uses this and other tools as well. It's a way that you can kind of package all the information up together and port it to another application. Microsoft Word, you can copy a deep link. Let's see, what does that do? I'm just going to take a look at this deep link. Okay, so this is your URL scheme link. You can basically launch Craft directly to this document if you'd like to. You can send it to Drafts, Things, OmniFocus, DevonThink, IA Writer, Ulysses, Bear, Day One, and NotePlan. So there's a number of different integrations. Now, the menu item that we didn't cover over here is the insert one, where you can drag and drop different things here. You can drag and drop this block, which is just a space. You can drag and drop a code block, and then you can edit your code in here, which, that's not really going to do anything, but it'll syntax highlight for you. You can do LaTeX. You can just do monospaced text if you just want to have a text block. And then the nice thing about this is that if you're doing a code library type thing, or you have text that you want to access, you can just copy it. And then if I paste it, it just comes right back in there. Or if you want to paste it somewhere else, there you go. Then you can drag and drop any files that you want from your computer. Craft definitely has some capability to be a pretty powerful, organized note-taking tool. Like I said, I would recommend looking at this not necessarily as a competitor to Obsidian or Realm Research, though there's some similar functionality there, but primarily it's a challenge to the SaaS-hosted application of Notion. There's a lot of functionality in here that Notion has that Craft does as well, primarily as more of like a wiki-style document editing tool. What Craft does not have, though, in comparison to Notion, are the database features. You can't create a table or a Kanban board or a calendar inside of Craft at this point in time. That would be really handy to have, because a lot of times I know I like to structure information in sort of a database format so that I can look at it in different ways. That's primarily what I use Notion for at this moment in time, is to keep track of different content ideas I have and the actual schedule when I'm publishing those things, when they need to be done by. But you can't do that in Craft very easily at this moment in time. Now you can see on the sidebar over here, you also have starred. You can star documents. You can create an inbox, which is your new stuff that isn't put into folders over here. So let me put a folder here. Just my side business. I'm going to change the icon. Why not? Create. So if I go back to my inbox and I move effective remote work over there, you can see it's no longer in the inbox, and it's in the side business folder, and then these two documents are in the how to use Craft. Lots of different ways you can organize stuff inside of Craft. There's lots of power here, but again, if you're looking for something like Notion, this gets you about half of the way there. If all you need is documents and wiki-style files at this moment in time, Craft has you covered. But if you need the database functionality, or if you need deeper wiki linking, or if you need deeper backlink filtering, then there are other tools that can do that better for you. So what do you think? Are you interested in looking at Craft? Are you using it in your workflow? How does this stack up for you against tools like Notion, Roam, or Obsidian? I'm interested to hear from you in the comments. Well, that wraps things up for this video. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button to get more content from us on note-taking, productivity, and remote work. Again, my name is Justin with Effective Remote Work. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.